Okay, so now we're going to look back at our real number system challenge. I would like for you to go to your real number system challenge and go to step 6. So it's the part where you increase and decrease your statistic by 10%. So for me, so on my notebook below my math identity graph, I will write down real number system challenge, and we're going to look at step 6, the fraction or the percent increase and decrease. So I would like for you to create a table based on your data for part 6. So for your data table, I would like for you to have 2 rows and 5 columns after that. And we have our input, which is our x, and our output, which is our y. Okay. So for me, my input, all our input will be the same. We're just going to start with 1, our first point, and then our second, third, fourth, and fifth. So go ahead, pause the video while you write this down in your notebook. And then when you're finished, you can keep the video playing. Okay, so what's going to go in your output? Your output is going to be the statistic you chose. So for me, my topic was dogs, and the statistic I chose was $378. How much money people spend per year at the vet for their dogs. So the very first point is that statistic you chose. So without the percent increase, without the percent decrease, that's going to be our first point. So 1, $378. Then the second point will be after the 10% increase. So like if you hopefully remember, we took the statistic we found and then we increased it by 10%. So we multiplied by 10%, which is really just 10 over 100. Then we multiplied the top with the top. We got 3,780 divided by 100, which simplifies to $37.80. To show that we increase, we added that 10% to the original $378, which results in $415.80. So your second point is going to be after that 10% increase. So for me, my 10% increase is $415.80. The third thing will be again another 10% increase. So remember, 10% is $37.80, right? That's 10% of $378. So we're going to go ahead and add that to 415.80. So plus $37.80, which results in, so 415.80 plus 37.80 is $453.60. And then we're going to do another 10% increase. So we're going to take our $453.60 and add $37.80, right? So plus $37.80. I get $491.40. And then the last one, same thing. I'm going to take my output here and add $37.80. Which results in $529.20. So if our vet bills went up by 10% every year, 10% of the original $378, after 5 years, we would be paying a lot of money for the vet every year, $529.20. So it's a very large amount of increase over time. So I would like for you to do the same with your statistic. Your first column is going to be whatever your original statistic was. So 1,000 people go to concerts every year. Whatever it was that you chose, that's your first point. Then your second point is that 10% increase that we worked out in step 6. Then the next point after that is again the 10% increase. So I added another 37.80 and so on and so forth till you have 5 points. So go ahead, pause the video here, create your data table, and then when you're finished, you can keep the video going. Okay, so now that you have a table of values, hopefully you're going to guess what's going to come next, and it's a graph, right? We can look at our data visually, see what's going on with a graph. So as always, we're going to create a graph. So, we have our y-axis. Oops. We have our x-axis. As always, a good idea to label what your x and y axis are. So your x-axis is your input. For me, it's just my input here, x. And then my output y, which is the amount of money that people spend on their dogs, okay, per year at the vet. Then we're going to place our points. So again, keep in mind where your x and y go up to. All of our x values start at 1 and go up to 5. So we can go ahead and, kind of space out our x values. I'll do it every 5. And that's 5. Okay, so I'm going to label this 1. I'm going to label this 5, just so you know, I go up to 5 points. And then our output, of course, starts at $378 and then goes up to about $530. So we have, I'm going to do every one of these is, let's say 100. Every 3 years. Oops. Sorry. 100, 200, 300. Actually, I'll probably space them out even more. 100. 200. It's a little too big. Kind of shrink this a bit here. Okay. 300. 400. And I'm going to stretch this one a little bit. And we've got 500 here. Okay, so we start at 100 and end at 500. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and graph all our points. So for me, my first point was at $378. So $378 is about over here, a little more than halfway between 300 and 400. So I'm going to have a point at 378.50. So again, you already have a graphing notebook. You know, you really just need to create your X and Y axis and label them. And then after 2, we increased by 10%, which was plus $37.80, which was at $415.80. So I can go ahead and make another dot at 2, a little bit over $40. Okay, or $400, sorry. And then the next one is plus another $37.80, which was at $453.60. It's about halfway. And as you can see, because we're increasing by $37.80 every time, we create this straight line. I'm just gonna go ahead and create a straight line. You can go ahead and graph all 5 of your points. I'm not gonna go do that, but go ahead, graph all 5 of your points, pause the video, graph all 5 of your points from your data table, and then keep the video playing when you are finished. Okay, so I want to describe a couple of things about your graph that I would like for you to take notes on. So you notice for every one X value, I go up $37.80, right? For every one X value, I go up the price of $37.80. Every X, another, etc., etc. We can actually create a triangle, okay, that shows this. So we have our, oops, there you go. We notice okay, let's stretch this out. Okay, so you notice for every one X that I go, so for every one of these, oops, right? For every one to the right, I go up $37.80. So whenever my change in X is equal to 1, because I change, there's a change of 1 unit, I go up, there's a change in my Y of $37.80, okay? So this triangle that results in a linear relationship, okay, this triangle that describes what's going on with my X and my Y is called a slope triangle. Sorry if I'm speaking a little weird. I have like a really swollen throat and tongue, so it's kind of hard to speak. But anyways, so this triangle that results in the change in your X and the change in your Y is called a slope triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and write that. Slope triangle. A triangle drawn on the line such that the a right triangle drawn on the line such that the hypotenuse lies on the line and the horizontal leg is the change in X and the vertical leg is the change in y. Okay, and it's okay if you don't understand all of these terms yet. What's a hypotenuse? What's a leg? What are any of these things? That's okay. But go ahead and write down this definition of a slope triangle. The hypotenuse lies on the line. The horizontal leg is the change in your x. The vertical leg is a change in your y. So it shows the relationship between your x and your y. For every unit of x, what's going on with your unit of y. For my specific case, every 1 unit of x, I go up $37.80. So I'm going to let you pause the video here, write down the definition of a slope triangle, and then when you're finished, we'll talk about what slope is, what does that mean for your relationship, your linear relationship that you have, and we'll answer some questions about it. So go ahead, pause the video, write this down, and then when you're finished, keep the video playing. Okay, so now that we have a slope triangle, it will help us find the slope of this line. So the slope, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in my notebook. The slope is a measure of the steepness of your line. So how steep is your line rising or falling? Okay, how steeply is it rising or falling? So it is the ratio. Remember this word from the Real Number System Challenge? It is the ratio of your vertical distance to your horizontal distance. Okay, so there's a comparison. Remember, if you recall, note, ratio is the comparison of two numbers, okay, of two quantities. So we're comparing what happens to your vertical, your y, vertical change as we are changing horizontally. So two quantities are being compared to each other. So in my specific case, in my example, okay, my vertical change, or my change in y, is equal to $37.80. For every input, I'm going up $37.80. My horizontal change is just 1, right? I go 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5. So my change in x is just 1. So the ratio of my vertical distance to my horizontal distance, remember, we can write a ratio as a fraction. So we can go ahead and write our vertical distance to our horizontal distance. And we have our vertical distance is $37.80. And our horizontal distance is 1. So our slope is $37.80 over 1. Okay, so let me zoom in here so you can see all this and increase the size here. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the video here and let you write all of this down, and then we'll talk about what this actually means. So I have a ratio, I have some numbers, but what does this mean? What does this represent? So go ahead, pause the video here, write all these notes down. For your graph, okay, this is for my graph. My graph is changing $37.80 and over what? But your 10% is not $37.80. You have your own data table that you graphed, and your 10% change was dependent on your statistic. So make sure you're careful, you're using your information. Okay, so go ahead, write out your slope ratio, and we'll talk about what this means. Okay, so what is this slope? What is this ratio? What we're really saying is for every x value, for every time x increases by 1, right? For every time we go from 1 to 2, then 2 to 3, the price, or y, so y, the amount of money people spend at the vet for their dogs increases by $37.80, right? This ratio represents something. It's not just random numbers. Qualitatively, it means that for every increase of my what, it could be time, it could be for every dog you own. We haven't determined that yet, but for every input, every time the input increases by 1, my cost at the vet increases by the 10%, $37.80. So, for my last question for this part, I would like for you to write down what your slope represents for your scenario, okay? For your topic. So maybe it's for every year, blah, 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 people go to concerts, or for every extra engine, the car's horsepower goes up, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, depends on the topic you chose. Go ahead and write down your slope ratio and what it represents. When you're finished, take a photo of your graph and your notes, and then your slope. Upload it on Dreamseedo, and then move on to the next step.